I ended up playing in the 2v2 on Thursday, the IG qualifier on Friday, and the King of Coin on Saturday, and then the Nova Masters on Sunday. Third place in 2v2, which was with Stephen King. Fantastic player. The guy knows the game so well. So smart, such a good player. Was able to learn so much from him. On Friday, played in the IG qualifier. Didn't play too hot, but that was kind of like I was a little nervous going into my first IG qualifier. And then Saturday, settled in with King of Coin. Played pretty good. Went 2-1. Played against Gentleman Pete, and that was a fantastic game. I got a little drawn into like how bad my dice were, and I was like, the what? Everyone's laughing at this video because they're like, dude, I saw you roll boxcars all day. And I was like, dude, the one time the dice needed to be average, I needed to be average. um, but that was just a fantastic event, and then that really got me like ready and prepped mentally for Nova Masters, which I came in and I think I played probably the best I've played before, which is not saying much. I'm a new player. I suck at this game still. I really don't know what half is going on. Um, and yeah, but I learned a lot, and that was the big takeaway from this is how much I learned from the event, and that's the most important thing anybody can take away from these events is like you get to go and you get to just play and you get to learn everything from every game. The community is so neat and cool, and they're like, I'm like, hey, what could I have done better at the end of the game? They're like, oh, maybe you could have done this, this, and this because you don't really care about this, and you like worried about that too much, and you're like, oh, then you take that into your next game, and you take that into your next game. You keep going, and you just infinitely compile these little notes in your head, and it all kind of comes together in a muscle memory. It's pretty sweet. Had a fantastic time, and just wanted to put that out there as like, this is a cool event. I hope you all can make it at some point in your lives and play War Machine at a con because I think that's one of the coolest ways I've ever seen War Machine played. And if you're looking at this last picture, it is of me after Sunday and that somewhat stressful game for me playing on stream for Nova Masters. I had barbecue, I had insomnia cookies, I had french fries, I had a snow cone. I went in on some food. And yeah, and then that was my weekend. All right, we'll head into the next portion of the video. Welcome to the financial portion of my road to post Nova video. I wanted to do a little bit of insight on how much I spent, how much you can expect to spend, what a hotel version versus staying local version was, what weird things that came up that I spent money on, that I didn't spend money on. So we'll start with what I estimated my cost to be. I budgeted for. Kind of estimated ticket to cost 150. Gas to do was $60. I had no idea what parking was until last minute, and then ended up being $100. We'll get into that in a second. I thought I was going to spend $100 on packed lunches because I was able to be able to pack my lunch and then have some fun money for eating out every once in a while because I was able to. They didn't really care too much about bringing your own food, but because of the microwave situation, my food wasn't really that good, so I ended up eating out. I stayed local, so no hotel cost for me, and I was staying with family, so it didn't matter. So that was free. That was a benefit I had of this con. I thought I was going to give myself a $200 budget of spending money, and that's not bad. Pretty good for a con, I'd say. For just like, hey, I wanted to go buy a dusk box kind of thing, but ended up not spending it. I didn't even have time to walk the vendor hall, truly. But I estimated my total cost for this convention being 650, 675. The real cost, the tickets were cheaper by a smidge, and if you're looking at this ticket cost and it's a little bit more than yours, it's because I also bought a ticket for my wife. I didn't just buy a wife. That's not how that works. That's why this right here is 65 because that's how much it cost for Wednesday to Sunday, like all day pass. And then you had to buy your individual events. So I bought into the IG qualifier and I bought into the team tournament, which was an extra $40. And then this ended up having a convenience fee, like $10 convenience fee for that. I don't know where that came from, but just it is what it is. It's there. I used Spot Hero to park. There was a spot that I parked that was pretty safe. It was covered. I didn't feel like it was in a bad area, which is kind of useful because it's like you're leaving your car there for 10 hours. You want it to be in a good spot. Ended up being like $21 a day. So round it around to 100. Driving into DC about an hour was about $50 in gas because it was just highway models. Highway models. Sorry about that. A little tired from the event still. Highway miles. So I spent 50 bucks on gas just for that. I would just drive to the convention and back and just hang out at home for the rest of the time. So about 150 for transportation. Food wise, because I ended up not eating a lot of my food because I didn't like it. I didn't like cold brown rice. Ended up eating more protein bars, which I had packed, and some applesauce and beef jerky, which was pretty cheap. I would end up, and I ended up eating out more at night because I'd come home hungry because I would forget to eat because we were playing so much and it was a lot of fun, like which is good, but I would forget to eat, which is not good. And I ended up eating out every night. I think I spent about for just myself, if I did it myself, $40 a day between breakfast, whatever lunch was, because breakfast was like $5. It's like a bagel and a protein shake, and then lunch was like $20, and then dinner was like 15, $20. So 40-ish dollars a day, around 200. Some days were less, just depending on what I got. Some days were more because I like went out to a nicer place to eat, family. The staying local does have a cost because I was like, oh, my family had an easy pass. They're like, why don't you use this? I was like, okay, cool. I'll use that on the weekdays because traffic going into DC, I think it saved me 30 minutes coming to and from work or to and from DC, and it was definitely worth the 50 or 60 bucks that it was. You don't really know how much it is, and it is what it is. But I just sent my family who owned the Easy Pass. I sent them 50 bucks and said, "Here you go," and they're like, "Cool, that's good enough." But that saved me 30 to 40 minutes driving in every day, which was 30 to 40 minutes sleep every day, and 30 minutes coming home too. So just something to think about if you're in the DC area. That's not going to be a problem for other areas. I only am spending at the vendor hall. I only bought two things. I bought two paints, two speed paints. I needed it, and like there wasn't really anything else that interested me. It was a lot of 40K stuff, and I was like, I don't want 40K, and a lot of it was just kind of like all right stuff. So I didn't really see anything that was interesting at the vendor hall, and that's why it ended up being in my benefit because it just saved me money. And then the total cost for the entire trip was 694, so not too bad. I'm over my estimation, but still within reason, I think. Going into the hotel version, if you just flat out were by yourself with a hotel, paying the parking for the hotel like you drove in, you're paying a lot. You were like double what I had because the hotel around was around 140 a night. If you're just by yourself, kind of a lot. But if you like split the hotel with somebody and all that extra stuff, you were probably going to be around 1,000 for the event. For that's for all 5 days. That's not like, oh, you didn't come, came for 2 days instead of 3 days. That's for Wednesday to Sunday, staying the entire time. So if you didn't do the all the events, you were spending less than that. And then things, that's kind of it for that stuff. The financial things. So if you didn't do the whole convention, you spent less. But I was there all the days from Wednesday to set up to Sunday to a little bit of tear down. Things to think about for next year is how much time I spent driving. I spent like almost 2 hours a day driving. That's a lot of time driving. That's a lot of time it could just be spent either playing or just resting because it is kind of tiring playing in events all day. Another thing I was thinking about is like I know I could stay locally, but if I was there with a friend or two to split the hotel, the convenience factor of just staying at the hotel and being at the con all the time would be crazy cool. I could have somebody drop us off at the hotel. We split the hotel, then I have the convenience of being at the hotel and not missing out on playtime because of the parking timing. So I only had 10 hours to park. That was just the spot I liked. I liked, so I just stayed with it. I didn't feel like changing on the weekend because parking, I think, got better on the weekend. But I was just like, I know what I'm doing. I know the route. I know the walk. It's safe. It's good to go. But like, I missed out on probably another 3 or 4 hours of games and funs with people just because I had to be like, I got to go home. I got to drive. And that's like, is that extra? That's where you have to think to yourself, is that extra money that you'd spend at the hotel or parking or whatever, is that worth those 3 or 4 hours? And I'm leaning more on the yes side of thing just because I wanted to play more games. I enjoy the time I had. I think I could have had more fun playing. And then if you're all at the hotel together, you probably will all go get dinner together, which means you can talk more, which means you can learn more, which means you'll just be in the environment more and you'll get more of the con feel. And if this difference in price isn't enough, the $500 just about travel with somebody. Find somebody you want to hang out with, split the hotel, have a good time, talk shop on the way there, and just overall enjoy the trip with somebody. because it's gonna, one, safety factor, travel with somebody, two, financial factor, travel with somebody, and three, it's just gonna make like, hey, I gotta go do this thing. Can you watch our stuff real quick? Yep, got you. You don't gotta worry about that kind of thing. But yeah, that kind of is everything I have to say. If you have any tips and tricks for traveling and saving money for cons or what you do, please drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear them because we'll be traveling to Warfare Weekend. And that's going to be probably not the cheapest of trips because we got to fly in, we got to stay at a hotel, do all that stuff. So I want to hear those tips and tricks you guys got. Anyway, and thank you for listening. See you next time.